We're in this field, this wildlife conservation field, because we're passionate. We don't do this because of awards or high dollars, or we're not driving around Maseratis and that kind of thing. We do this because we're passionate about the environment, about wildlife, about people's position in this. And that's really what it comes down to, is people. And working with wildlife is working a lot with people.
He loves the black-footed ferret because there's so very little we know about it. I mean, being a species that we thought had disappeared from the face of the earth, only to show up in Wyoming back in the 1980s. Travis really has led the charge, not only in terms of figuring out answers to questions, but then parlaying that information into management for that species, figuring out where should we reintroduce them. So he's really focused his energy, his thought, his time on that species.
Black-footed ferrets are the charismatic representative of the prairie ecosystem. So they rely upon prairie dogs. Prairie dogs are a keystone species. They provide habitat and food for many other species. So this isn't just about black-footed ferrets. This is about prairie dogs and a whole broad ecosystem that depends upon them.
I love all wildlife, but black-footed ferrets are pretty darn cool. They're the only ferret native to North America. Black-footed ferrets are a member of the mustelids, which are one of the most diverse groups of carnivores in the world. They also are fossorial, so they live underground, which makes them really cool, and they're nocturnal.
I cannot think off the top of my head of anybody who's had the opportunity to bring back a species like Travis. It's no wonder to me that Jane Goodall wanted to come and meet him and spend some time out on a prairie dog town with him, and actually in one of her books mentions him in one of the chapters.
I'm a very proud pointer, and I always like running into so many pointers within the wildlife community. I wanted to make sure that some of them got to South Dakota, that they got to understand it and experience the sweet grass, the buffalo, the prairie dogs, the wind, and the huge vistas and the badlands. We began bringing out students just as a 5-day field trip. We'd take them out and we'd show them around the badlands during the day. We'd take them out at night and go look at black-footed ferrets.
He really gives them a dose of both the science and the politics of what happens in the world and arena of wildlife. He gives them an opportunity to hold a black-footed ferret during the process of doing it. And you know, that it is one chance in probably 10 million that a person would have to hold a black-footed ferret, you know, one of the most endangered mammals in all of North America.
Travis really supports the next generation of wildlife professionals with his expertise and willingness to give back. Travis is serving as a committee member for my graduate student. We had a committee meeting yesterday, and all of his comments are always insightful. It always makes you stop and think. He's not just an advisor in the sense that he's, you know, providing feedback on a proposal or on a manuscript. He's actually out there teaching how to handle animals, how to do field work, and how to think really hard about what's going on in the system and how we might sort of address these questions. I love when I get to introduce him to students here. I love being able to say, he sat in your seat, right? And look what he's doing now. He went on and started his own nonprofit organization and became a world's leading expert in one of the most endangered mammals in North America. That's pretty cool. And I think when students see that, they actually think, okay, I could do that.
I need to make sure that I do good science for the sake of black-footed ferrets, but I also need to make sure I can communicate my science very well and get the public to understand why we do this, why it's important, what role they play in it. Aldo Leopold said, the first rule of intelligent tinkering is to keep every cog in wheel. The black-footed ferret is one of those cogs, so we should keep this. And I'm an intelligent tinkerer. I want to keep this species around.